Chapter 5. Discipline over motivation. Motivation feels good. It makes you dream big, plan big, and start strong. But motivation is temporary. It fades the moment things get uncomfortable. Discipline, however, doesn't care how you feel. It shows up anyway. It's the difference between people who talk about change and people who actually change. Motivation might start your journey, but discipline is what finishes it. Because motivation is a mood, and moods are unstable. You can't depend on emotion to build your future. You need structure. You need repetition. You need habits that keep going when excitement disappears. The truth is, nobody feels motivated every day. Even the most successful people wake up tired, lazy, or unready, but they move anyway. That's discipline. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I have work to do. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's powerful. When you rely on motivation, you act only when you feel inspired. When you rely on discipline, you act because you made a commitment. That's the gap between average and exceptional. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you consistent. Consistency brings results, and results build confidence. That's the real cycle of success. Most people wait to feel ready before they start. They never realize that readiness comes after starting. Action creates energy, not the other way. Around discipline is built like a muscle. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen it. Every time you quit, you weaken it. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to do something consistently. Small daily progress compounds into massive change over time. You'll never see results overnight. That's why most people quit. They confuse slow growth with no growth. But discipline knows that invisible progress is still progress. Even when nobody notices, even when nothing seems to change, you're still getting stronger. Motivation says, I'll try. Discipline says, I'll do it no matter what. That simple difference determines who wins and who watches discipline. Doesn't need hype music or quotes. It just needs repetition. Wake up, show up, do the work, repeat. It's boring sometimes, it's hard often, but it's the only formula that works every single time. When you make discipline your foundation, life becomes simpler. You stop overthinking. You stop negotiating with laziness. You just act. That's the beauty of discipline. It frees you from constant decision fatigue. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You already decided yesterday. Your emotions are unreliable, but your standards can be solid, and your standards will shape your destiny more than your feelings ever will. Discipline also protects you from regret, because nothing hurts more than knowing you could have, but didn't. Every time you skip the work, you teach your mind it's okay to break promises to yourself. And over time, that destroys confidence. But every time you keep a promise, even a small one, you build trust with yourself. You stop believing again. You start respecting yourself again. That's what discipline really is. Self-respect in action. You can't always control outcomes, but you can always control effort. And effort always multiplies over time. The gym, the grind, the study, the late nights. All of it adds up. Quietly, steadily, invisibly, until it becomes undeniable. One day, people will call you lucky, but luck is just consistency nobody saw. If you want freedom, build discipline, because discipline gives you control over your time, body, and mind. Motivation pushes you to start. Discipline pulls you to continue. And once you develop it, you no longer depend on feelings to move forward. That's when success becomes automatic. You wake up and do what must be done, whether it's fun or not. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. It's the reason ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Every great athlete, artist, or leader you admire, they didn't win because of motivation. They won because of structure. They practiced when others rested. They worked when others quit. They moved when others waited to feel ready. And you can do the same. Start small. Stay consistent. Let repetition do the heavy lifting. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark dies. So stop chasing motivation. It's unreliable. Build discipline instead. It will never abandon you. You don't need to feel inspired to make progress. You just need to keep promises to yourself, especially when nobody's watching. Because in the end, discipline doesn't just build success. It builds character, and character builds everything else. So tomorrow morning, when your mind says, "Not today," smile and move anyway. That's the voice of discipline, and that's the voice of freedom. Chapter 6. The Power of Silence and Solitude. Most people are scared of silence. They avoid it with noise, screens, and endless scrolling. But silence isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. In silence, you meet yourself. You hear your real thoughts. You notice what truly matters and what's just distraction. Silence is not emptiness. It's space. The space where clarity grows. We live in a world that constantly demands your attention. Every second, someone or something is trying to pull you away from yourself. But growth doesn't happen in noise. It happens in the quiet moments when you finally slow down and listen. Solitude is where focus is reborn. It's where you stop pretending and start seeing clearly. You can't build a strong inner world if your outer world never pauses. Being alone isn't loneliness. Loneliness is feeling disconnected, even in a crowd. Solitude is peace within your own company. It's when you no longer need to escape yourself. When you learn to enjoy your own presence, you become unstoppable, because nobody can manipulate, distract, or break someone who's comfortable being alone. Silence gives birth to awareness. Awareness brings control. Control creates power, but we run from silence because it forces us to face our thoughts, the ones we hide behind entertainment and noise. Yet those thoughts are the very things that need healing. The truth is, silence is not empty. It's full of answers. When you stop talking, when you stop reacting, when you stop running, you start hearing the whispers of your intuition, that inner voice, your instinct, your gut. It gets drowned by constant stimulation. But when you sit in stillness, it starts speaking again, and it's always honest. You'll start realizing how many things you were chasing that didn't matter. How many people you tried to impress who never cared. How much time you lost trying to fill silence instead of embracing it. Solitude gives you back your power. Because when you can stand alone, you stop depending on others for validation. You become grounded. You start making choices from peace, not pressure. You stop reacting and start responding. People will misunderstand your silence. They'll think you're distant, cold, or detached. But you're not. You're focused. You're listening to your own life instead of the noise around it. The loudest person in the room isn't the most powerful. The calmest one is, because silence is a sign of control, not weakness. When you embrace solitude, you start seeing patterns. You see how often you've said yes out of guilt, how often you've chased approval, how often you've ignored your peace for comfort. You can't fix what you refuse to face, and silence helps you face it. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day. No phone, no music, no distractions. At first, it'll feel strange. You'll want to check something, do something, escape somehow, but stay, because that discomfort is the sound of your mind detoxing. The more you sit in silence, the clearer life becomes. You'll start to notice what drains you, what inspires you, and who truly values you. That's the power of solitude. It filters your life naturally. You won't need to cut people off. They'll fade away on their own. You won't need to chase clarity. It'll find you in stillness. All great thinkers, leaders, and creators understood this. They spent time alone, not because they hated people, but because they needed space to connect with their deepest thoughts. You can't think deeply if you're always surrounded by noise. You can't hear your purpose. If you never pause to listen, silence doesn't take away life. It sharpens it. There's a reason nature feels peaceful. It's quiet. There's a reason meditation heals. It's quiet. There's a reason your best ideas come in stillness, because your mind finally has room to breathe. Solitude teaches you patience. It teaches you that not every problem needs an instant solution. Sometimes you just need to sit with it, breathe, and let it unfold naturally. In a loud world, quiet becomes a superpower because silence lets you think clearly while everyone else reacts blindly. You stop following trends and start following truth. You stop needing approval and start trusting your intuition. You stop chasing chaos and start craving peace. Begin to realize that real strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's silent, but it's steady. When you master silence, you become unshakable, because no matter what happens around you, you can return to that quiet place within, the place no one can disturb. That's where self-control lives. That's where calm decisions are made. That's where peace begins. You don't need to isolate forever. You just need to reconnect with yourself, because when you truly know yourself, you never feel lonely again. So step away from the noise sometimes. Turn off the music. Put the phone down. Sit in silence and breathe. It's in that stillness that you'll rediscover your direction, your focus, and your purpose. The world may keep shouting for your attention, but you'll move quietly, with clarity, with strength, with peace, because silence is not weakness. It's wisdom in its purest form, and solitude is not isolation. It's elevation.